Good morning, everyone. This is James Nussbaumer of jamesnussbaumer.com. And as you can see, early morning sun is popping in the window right here in Ohio. And I think it's going to be a great day for me to get out on the golf course. But I wanted to talk to you first a little bit about, how our conscious mind can lead us to achieving our goals and getting things done. And for many of you that are looking at online business opportunities or are in one right now and you're having a struggle getting it going off the ground, well, nothing happens overnight. And you know the old saying that Rome was not built in a day. Let me share a quick story with you real quick. And many of you that know me know a little bit about my story, but I was a financial advisor for 25 years, and I worked mostly with many affluent people, mostly in the United States. But in 2007, in my 25th year, I crossed an illegal line, a foolish securities violation, over a small amount of money that was totally repaid. But an angry judge had sentenced me to 10 years in a state penitentiary in Ohio. I served 8 of those 10 years when another judge came forward out of retirement to realize that I no longer needed to be in prison, and he released me 2 years early from that 10-year sentence. But when I went away to prison, I had lost my securities license for life, so I cannot go back to that business anyway, which I wouldn't want to anyway, because I was beginning to self-loathe, and that's what prompted me to make the errors that I did that got me into that jam that I got into. But I always wanted to be a writer. And even since a kid, 11 years old, I wrote my first novel. Of course, it never got published, but it was called Reaching for the Goal. I was always inspired by Fran Tarkenton at that young age, where he was just a young quarterback, I believe, for the New York Giants at that time, and then went on to the Minnesota Vikings. But he had always inspired me, and I was, as an adolescent football player myself. But I wanted to start writing and becoming a published author. And I wrote to some of my business friends while I was in prison. They're, out here on the outside. And, how can I get started? I was asking for help, and a couple of people wrote me back and said, just give it up, because it's too late. You're in prison. There's no computer there for you to use. You're not going to be able to. You might as well just make some notes and wait till you get out of prison someday, and then try to find a publisher. But see, that wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to have a book published and on the market. I already knew what I was going to write about, and I wanted it in stores, everywhere books are sold, by the time I walked out of prison. And sure enough, that's what happened. It's called The Master of Everything, a story of mankind in the world of illusion we call life. And it is published by Ozark Mountain Publishing Company, and it is on sale everywhere books are sold. Book 2 is coming out August 1st. Is the release date. And then there's a third book, should be November 1st. So it's very exciting. But my point is that, if you're struggling in that online business that you're in right now, or whatever it may be, and I mention online business because I'm using an online business that helps me market my book through the internet. And, like I said, Rome was not built in a day. And starting your online business surely does take some time, and people think just because they have a computer that all they have to do is plug in and money starts coming in. Well, no, there is a little bit of work involved. But my whole point of it is that, while I was in prison, I studied and wrote every day, and I wrote to publishers. I had a schedule where 3 days a week I did nothing but this section of the day, handwrite letters, because there was no computer, to publishers all over the world, where a friend of mine had sent in a directory about this thick. Every year he'd send me the updated version called the Writer's Market. And I had enough rejection letters from publishers, editors, and literary agents, enough rejection letters to wallpaper the entire prison, is what I tell people. Well, it was in 2014, which was going on my 8th year of prison, where I landed Ozark Mountain Publishing Company. Dolores Cannon, who's no longer living now, in fact deceased a few months after offering me the contract, which I still have a great relationship with Ozark Mountain. Her daughter Julia has taken over, and they're a great group of people. But my point is that perseverance, when you just close yourself in to end within you and just go after what it is and persevere, you'll figure out how to get it done. And it's just called not giving up. I hope this makes sense. So if you're struggling at that online business, maybe you relate back to my story of how I hadn't given up. And so here we go. This is proof of that. And you know, it seems that I want to read you something real quick before I close here. You know, we all think about history repeating itself, and because it was never done before, this is the way it is, it can't happen now. Well, you know, we've all heard it said before that the problem with history is it keeps repeating itself. Or should we rather say that we just keep repeating ourselves and are afraid of true change? This is the reason we don't understand what we see, which leads us to get upset and fear something that really isn't there. And to fear failure is something that's really not there, because you know, if you experience a few little failures along the way, like the rejection letters that I was getting from the publishers that I said could wallpaper the inside of the prison, each one of those failures was a tiny little step towards landing Ozark Mountain Publishing Company. So stick with it. And if you want to know more about my success online, down below in the box there's a link there to my website. Click on it, tool around, and it will take you to my Real Abundance page, which will have some links there and a couple of videos for you to check out. I wish the best for you, and have a great life. Thanks for listening to me today, or should I say putting up with me. Thank you again.